Hi everybody, it's Professor Beery. If you had me for Con Law 1, you already know that. I'm making this video for both my Con Law 1 and 2 sections because it's just a brief introduction about how we're going to do things and some brief notes about the Constitution. For some of you this will be review, a little bit of it will be a review, but that's fine, it's good to do that. So first of all, welcome to constitutional law. Constitutional law is the body of law that answers the question, can the government do that? Right. It's a very interesting body of law. It certainly is topical at this time, right, where the people are asking that question left and right. Can the government do that? Right? Can a state do that? Can the president do that? Can Congress do that? Right? Can a court do that? Right? These are the questions. In Constitutional Law 1, those of you who have already been through it know this, but in Constitutional Law 1, we study essentially the structure and authority of government, right, under the Constitution. And you have to be aware of the structure of the government, that it comes in multiple parts, right? There are multiple components to the governance in the United States. We have at least two levels of government that we're going to hone in on. Those being the federal government and state government, right? And so we have to study the relationship between the federal national government and the state government, and we'll be doing that. As to the federal government, there are three branches, right? There's the judicial branch, which is what we start with. We'll talk about that more later. There's the legislative branch, and there's the executive branch, right? And so we study those branches, the principle underlying a lot of what we study in Con Law 1 is that whatever government we're looking at has to stay in its lane, right? Both levels, federal and state. Federal government stay in its lane, state government stay in your lane. Same goes for the three branches of the federal government, right? Judicial branch stay in your lane, right? Legislative branch stay in your lane, executive branch stay in your lane. So we study that, the structure and what is each type of government, right? What are federal courts empowered to do? What is the Congress empowered to do? What is the President empowered to do? And what are states empowered to do as a general matter? Con Law 2 is flip side of the same coin, right? Because in Con Law 2 we study individual rights. We study individual rights that are listed in the Constitution, right, in the First Amendment through Amendment 8. You also study a lot of that in criminal procedure. We also study rights that are not listed in the Constitution. Those arise from the use in the Constitution of terms like liberty, privileges, and immunities, very general terms that suggest, right, a sphere of life where people have jurisdiction rather than either the federal government or any state or local government. So Con Law 1 and 2, again together, are both, right, our study of what the government is allowed to do and limits on what the government is allowed to do. Okay, now, when we study constitutional law, again, if you've had me for Con Law 1, you already heard this, but we really have to be careful how we talk about these things. There's no avoiding controversy in constitutional law, right? In Constitutional Law 1, that's, again, where we're going to talk about the power of the President and Congress, right? And people get worked up about stuff, certain legislation that Congress, people have strong feelings about this, right? The Affordable Care Act even. We can't even get past that before, right, people start getting worked up. Obviously, in the political climate that we have today, very controversial, no matter what we talk about in terms of the power of Congress and the President, and then the Congress and the President fighting with one another, and blah, 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 blah. So we'll get through all that, but I just want to lay that out there. A lawyer afraid of controversy is like a doctor afraid of blood, right? It's just not going to work. In constitutional law, we look at cases where people are using bad language and all that stuff. So I mean, we study obscenity, we study marriage, we study abortion. We have to be able to get through those types of topics because oftentimes lawyers are the grown-ups in the room, right? We have to be able to get through those topics in a way that is respectful, and keep in mind that our own, right, predispositions or politics are not what we're here to study. I have my own predispositions and my own politics, so do you. My promise to you is that you are not here to learn the world according to Beery, right? And I would like a mutual promise, right? The promise back is that people are not going to try to impose their own views as we discuss these topics. What we're really here trying to figure out is how does the U.S. Supreme Court, right, deal with all of the issues that have to be dealt with. Okay. Much more on that, right, in future videos and our live sessions. That brings me to how we're going to do it this term. Okay, I'm going to try to do more or less what I was trying to do last term, for those of you who were around for that. Cover quite a bit of material with YouTube videos. I've got the YouTube equipment that I need to do this, and I find YouTube to be a higher quality product when I produce these videos than when I do it on Canvas Studio. But I'm going to do a mix, okay? So you're going to have some YouTube videos that cover a lot of the kind of lecture material to try to wade through this, right, the centuries-old verbiage, right, in the cases that you're reading. So don't panic about, you know, coming right into a live session not quite understanding everything, or coming at the material thinking I'm not sure what the court was talking about there. That's a very common problem in constitutional law, and you don't want to get anxiety ridden about that. So we'll do a combination of some YouTube videos to cover some of the lecture stuff. I am going to have to use Canvas Studio to do some of the material because I want to right, inject quizzes along the way, right, as you're basically these are going to be narrated PowerPoint presentations, right, with quizzes embedded in there, so that you can check yourself, right, before you move on, that you understand the material that came before. So there'll be some of that, and then the plan is every week I want to have a live session during our normal class, right, a scheduled class time. We'll do that via WebEx, of course, and that's how I'm going to take care of attendance. All right. Please, if at all possible, make sure you're logged on. I will not hold you for 3 hours because I'm going to have you working again through videos, right, YouTube videos that you're watching, and some exercises that you're doing, and then we'll do our live sessions. So live sessions, I think, would go about between an hour and a half every week. So one of you is a night section, so you'd be looking at, you know, you're not going to be there from 6 to 9, 6 to 7 or 7:30. My afternoon section is 2 o'clock. You know, you can plan on being done by 3:30 or so. I might go a few minutes over here and there, but that's what I'm shooting for. One final thing in this video, and I put it in my email to at least one of the sections. We're all going to be learning this, right? This is my first time teaching an entire term online. For a lot of you, it's going to be the first time you've taken an entire, well, maybe you have, a required course, right, in the law, right, online for an entire term. So, you know, let's all be patient with one another. I promise that if during for example, if during the scheduled time that we're supposed to meet, you don't see the WebEx meeting up and you're sitting there saying, where is everybody? Where, you know, that could be because of an internet connectivity problem on my end, right? But I'll be there. But let's all be patient with one another, and just get through it. We'll get through this. There's no problem. You know, but it's going to be a little bit of a different experience. So I hope you're all safe. I'll be talking more when we get together live about how we're going to go about getting through this term, you know, office hours and that kind of stuff. I'm still kind of tweaking and working through that, but we'll get to all the logistics and whatnot. But I did want to post a video for both sections just to say hello, welcome to a new term. We're going to succeed in getting through this online, and I want you to stay safe. So stay tuned for more videos, and be well.